Hey everyone, and welcome back to today's Explainer. If you're someone who loves geeking out over how the built environment actually works, well, you are in for a real treat today. We're going to be digging into a mind-bending construction material that completely challenges everything we thought we knew about traditional building techniques. We are talking about ferro cement.
Okay, let's dive right into this. When I say the word concrete, what immediately pops into your head? You're probably picturing massive, rigid, incredibly heavy stuff, right? Like highway overpasses or giant building foundations. But ask yourself, can concrete bend like a wooden bow? Or literally float like a boat? Your first instinct is probably to say no way. Well, let's find out exactly how engineering makes the impossible possible.
To really appreciate the solution here, we kind of have to understand the problem first. Traditional reinforced concrete is great, but it has some pretty severe limitations. For one, it's just inherently heavy, carrying a massive dead weight that makes it useless for a lot of specialized structures. It's also surprisingly brittle, meaning when it fails, it can fail dramatically. Once it cracks, it is a massive headache to repair. And perhaps worst of all, those thick steel reinforcement bars hidden deep inside are highly prone to internal corrosion over time. So when we contrast traditional concrete with ferro cement head-to-head, the differences are honestly staggering. Like we said, traditional concrete has that massive dead weight and requires a super thick layer of cement just to protect the steel bars inside from rusting. But ferro cement, it's incredibly lightweight. It boasts extremely high tensile strength. And here's the real kicker. It only needs an impossibly thin external cover of just 2 to 3 millimeters over its reinforcement. That is literally a fraction of a typical concrete pour.
So what exactly is it? Well, ferrocement is actually a relatively new material, conceptually speaking. It was invented back in 1940 by a really brilliant Italian architect and engineer named P.L. Nervi. His big breakthrough? Instead of using thick, clunky steel rebar, Nervi realized he could use very closely spaced, fine wire meshes and just uniformly impregnate them with a super-rich cement mortar mix. It completely changed the game.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what that material is capable of. Imagine a solid ferro cement plank that is 3,000 millimeters, so 3 meters long, and just 25 millimeters thick. If you support it on both ends, it will visibly bow under its own weight, curving exactly like a wooden bow, entirely without snapping. It's literally concrete, but it behaves with a kind of flexibility we would normally only associate with timber or plastic. It's just wild.
And if bending isn't enough for you, it can also float. Seriously, people make concrete boats out of this stuff that actively float on water. Because the reinforcement inside ferro cement is subdivided into thin wire mesh, kind of like a chicken wire frame for a water tank, the final product can be made astonishingly thin. In the case of these boats, they're just 25 millimeters thick. That makes the dead weight so low that it easily displaces enough water to float perfectly.
The anatomy, the science of the mesh. You know, any great material is essentially just a really great recipe, and the ingredients for ferro cement are incredibly precise. We're talking tiny wires, just 0.5 to 1 millimeters in diameter, spaced super closely together at about 5 to 10 millimeters. The mortar is exceptionally rich, using a cement-to-sand ratio of 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. Think of it like a tightly woven net. Because you have 300 to 500 kilograms of fine steel packed into every single cubic meter of mortar, those tiny wires safely catch and distribute structural strain everywhere all at once.
And that brings up an absolutely crucial point perfectly summarized by our source material. The basic idea is that concrete can actually undergo large strains, meaning it can stretch and bend without failing. But the magnitude of that strain entirely depends on how evenly distributed and subdivided the reinforcement is throughout the mass. By spreading out 1,000 tiny wires instead of using one massive chunk of steel, you completely prevent the formation of wide, catastrophic microcracks.
The making of, how to build with it.
One of the absolute biggest advantages of ferrocement is its versatility out there on the ground. There are essentially 4 primary casting methods you can use. It ranges from super simple, manual labor like hand plastering, right up to high-tech factory mass production using a semi-mechanized process, centrifuging, or even a high-pressure spray technique known as gun eating. So it really scales to whatever resources you have.
A particularly clever technique is the semi-mechanized method, which was actually developed at the Structural Engineering Research Center in Roerkee. Picture an inner cylindrical mold wrapped tightly in a dual layer of wire mesh. They mechanically rotate this mold while workers literally dash the mortar on, layer by layer. Because the mesh is wound so tightly around the formwork, they can create perfectly cylindrical units that are ultra-thin, down to a minimum of just 1 single centimeter thick.
Now, for true mass production, the industry turns to centrifuging and gunneting. Centrifuging rapidly spins the wire mesh cage, which forces the mortar into a highly compact, perfectly uniform surface. That makes it totally ideal for manufacturing lightweight pressure pipes. Gunneting, on the other hand, pneumatically shoots the mortar directly onto the mesh. Applying layer after layer with a high-pressure spray is incredibly efficient if you're trying to churn out prefabricated roofing units or other large structural pieces in a factory setting.
Mind-blowing applications, from boats to buildings. Now, what's really interesting about these numbers is the massive economic impact, starting with something as basic as an urban manhole cover. Because ferrocement is so highly moldable and incredibly strong without needing thick, heavy slabs of material, a ferrocement manhole cover costs just 1/10 the price of a traditional cast iron cover. 1/10! That is a 90% savings for a municipality outfitting a completely new neighborhood.
But the economics scale up dramatically from there. Remember that floating boat we were talking about earlier? Well, the data shows that a 14-meter-long ferrocement boat, which, by the way, is actively manufactured in countries like China, is 35% cheaper to build than a timber boat. And even crazier, it's a staggering 200% cheaper than a steel boat, all while remaining totally impervious to marine borers and traditional rot. It's a total win-win.
Beyond just civic infrastructure and boats, ferrocement directly addresses really fundamental everyday human needs. Because it uses way less raw material, which saves vital cement and steel, it is incredibly affordable for local, rural, and domestic housing projects. It's used extensively all over the world to cast domestic overhead water tanks, completely rodent-proof grain silos for farmers, biogas holders, and even lightweight folded plate roofs that can safely span 3.5 meters using a mere 3 centimeters of material thickness.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. If we have a form of concrete that can bend under stress, literally float on water, completely resist internal corrosion, and cost an absolute fraction of the price of traditional materials, what is really stopping us from using ferrocement to rapidly build the affordable, sustainable cities of tomorrow? It is a fascinating engineering marvel that challenges us to rethink the very foundations of how we build our world. Thanks so much for joining me, Focus Learners, and stay curious.